There comes a moment in every rider's life when reality slaps the throttle out of their hand. You're bombing through your favorite twisties, convinced you're Rossi reincarnated, until a guy on a clapped-out DRZ passes you sideways while sipping on a Monster Energy. Or an old man on a Goldwing disappears in the curves ahead like you just hit a cutscene. That's when you realize, fast isn't loud pipes or straight-line pulls. Fast is control. Fast is smooth. Fast is humbling. And believe me, there's always someone out there who makes you feel like a toddler on training wheels. This video is a tribute to those riders, the ones who make you rethink everything you thought you knew about speed, skill, and swagger. From retired racers to 19-year-old flat track freaks, if you're lucky enough to ride with them, prepare to be humbled. Brutally. Let's go. Number 1. Track day veterans. These aren't the loud, flashy types flexing in the paddock. No ego, no posturing. Just years of seat time and a brain like a GPS-guided missile. You line up for your first session thinking you're ready. You watched all the YouTube tutorials, memorized your lean angles, maybe even upgraded your tires. But by turn 2, they're already carving past you like you're standing still. They know every bump, every apex, every breaking point on the track. Not because someone told them, but because they've felt them 1,000 times. Their throttle control is surgical, their body position is invisible, and their braking, it's so smooth you don't even realize they've slowed down until they're 30 feet ahead. The craziest part? They're often riding older bikes, basic suspension, no electronics, maybe even a little duct tape. But they move with an efficiency that makes your tricked-out super sport look like a beginner's toy. You twist the throttle harder to keep up, and promptly overcook the corner. They just glide through it like it's their living room. You thought speed came from horsepower, but speed, real speed, is patience, practice, and precision. Until you've ridden with a track vet, you don't really know how far you have to go. Number 2. Retired racers. They don't brag. They don't rev at stoplights. They don't wear flashy gear with sponsors they never had. Retired racers just show up, ride like they're running late for nothing, and destroy your ego without saying a word. They've already lived the glory days, hairpin battles, race weekends, podiums, and wipeouts that would end most people's riding career. So now, when they ride for fun, they're not chasing speed. They are speed. Their body moves instinctively. They don't react to the road. They already know what it's going to do. You'll be struggling to keep your line through a tight corner while this guy on a 15-year-old sport tour glides past you on the inside, relaxed as a yoga instructor, casually adjusting his mirrors mid-turn. He doesn't look like he's trying, because he's not. He just doesn't have to. And when you finally catch up at the gas station panting like you ran a marathon, he's already halfway through a coffee and asking if you want to take it easy next round. Riding with a retired racer is humbling in the best way. You realize it's not about raw aggression. It's about understanding your machine like it's part of your nervous system. You don't beat him with horsepower. You beat him with decades. Or never. Number 3. Moto Gymkhana riders. You think you know how to handle your bike until you park next to one of these guys at a meet and watch them weave through the cones like they're dancing with the machine. Moto Gymkhana riders don't just ride their bikes, they wear them. While you're wide-turning into a parking spot like a forklift, they're busting out figure eights in a space smaller than your garage. And they're doing it on a 250cc that looks like it's seen 400 low sides and still begs for more. This isn't speed in the traditional sense. It's surgical precision. You'd think these riders were ex-stuntmen or physics professors the way they balance the clutch, brake, and throttle like a piano recital. You try to keep up in tight urban traffic. Forget it. They'll dart around taxis, pivot between bumpers, and U-turn into spaces you'd struggle to backpedal into on a bicycle. And the worst part, they make it look fun, like a game. Meanwhile, your forearms are cramping just watching them. Gymkhana riders humble you in a way you didn't expect, by proving that control is sexier than speed. They don't need racetracks or mountains to show you up. A Walmart parking lot and a few traffic cones are all it takes to remind you how clumsy you really are. Number 4. Supermoto guys in the twisties. You're geared up, leaned in, knees almost brushing the pavement. Feeling fast, feeling aggressive. When a guy on what looks like a dirt bike zips past you mid-corner, sideways. That's a supermoto rider, and they don't play by your rules. They're not wearing a full race suit, they got a motocross helmet, a hoodie, and sometimes, God help us, a backpack flapping in the wind. But they are absolutely shredding the corners like gravity forgot about them. You think you're using the road, they're abusing it. Cutting tighter lines, trail breaking into turns, sliding the rear end on exit, and hitting mid-corner bumps like they're launching off of them. While you're white-knuckling your clip-ons, they're relaxed and giggling inside their helmet. The advantage isn't just the bike, it's in the mindset. Supermoto guys treat pavement like dirt. Obstacles don't faze them. Broken asphalt? Jump it. Hairpin corner? Slide it. Unexpected gravel? They prefer it. And even worse, they're doing it on bikes with half the horsepower of yours. Your leader bike is barely flexing, yet it's still losing ground to a guy on a thumper with slicks and a wheelie addiction. Nothing humbles a rider faster than getting passed in the twisties by a dirt bike on street tires, especially when you realize he's not even trying that hard. Number 5. Stunters on beaters. You pull up to the lot feeling pretty confident. Fresh rubber, tuned suspension, spotless fairings. Then you hear it. The unmistakable sound of a clapped-out 600cc with straight pipes and a zip-tied headlight doing a slow wheelie across the entire parking lot. That's when it hits you. You're not the main character here. Stunters ride like physics is a suggestion. Their bikes are scarred, bent, and patched together with whatever was laying around. But their control is flawless. They scrape cages, clutch up in second gear like it's nothing, and balance point a 12 o'clock wheelie while texting their cousin. No electronics, no ABS, just throttle, brake, and pure mechanical wizardry. And here's the kicker. They don't care about speed. They're not chasing lap times or corner exits. They're chasing control. And they've got it. In traffic, in tight spaces, on garbage bikes you wouldn't dare ride to work. You might have a faster bike, you might have a cleaner bike, but the second they start showing off in a tight lot doing circle wheelies, figure eights, or coasting endos, you realize they've mastered the machine in a way few ever do. It's humbling, because their riding isn't flashy for attention. It's skill, distilled into chaos, and they make you look like a spectator. Number 6. Old-timers on gold wings. You think you're hot stuff on your sport bike, knees out, revs high, apex in sight. Then a guy with gray hair, a half-shell helmet, and a radio playing classic rock flies past you. On a gold wing. With a passenger. And a top case full of leftover barbecue. These old-timers aren't trying to impress anyone. They've been riding longer than you've been alive, and they don't waste time with dramatic lean angles or throttle theatrics. They just ride, smooth, fast, and impossibly consistent. No drama, no sudden moves, just surgical lines and a confidence so deep it radiates off their windshield. The truth is, experience eats horsepower for breakfast. These guys know every bump in the road, every line through the curve, and exactly how much throttle they need to stay ahead of the pack without breaking a sweat. While you're playing with gear ratios and body position, they're already 3 corners ahead, sipping lukewarm gas station coffee in the next town. There's something humbling about being passed by a 900-pound sofa on wheels. It strips away all your ego and reminds you, riding isn't about the spec sheet. It's about knowing what you're doing and doing it so well, you make it look boring. Number 7. Dirt riders who move to pavement. You can always spot them. Calm body position, eyes up, Rear tire a little loose in the corner like they want it to squirm. That's because they do. Dirt riders aren't scared of slipping, they expect it. And when they move to pavement, it's like watching a Jedi use the Force while everyone else is still reading the rulebook. Most street riders panic the second a tire loses grip. Dirt riders just shrug and ride it out. Years of sliding through sand, gravel, and mud trained them to control chaos. Pavement feels easy by comparison. They trust the bike, trust the feedback, and make micro corrections before you even realize something's off. They're also ridiculously smooth, not because they're cautious, but because that's how you survive in the dirt. Sharp inputs mean crashes, so everything they do on asphalt, throttle, brake, lean, is premeditated, controlled, and flowy. You're still reacting. They're dancing. And good luck trying to out-corner them in the rain. While you tiptoe like Bambi on ice, they're leaning in, relaxed, unfazed. You might have the flashier bike, you might have the horsepower, but they've got something way more powerful. Muscle memory trained in chaos. Ride behind one long enough, and you'll start to wonder if maybe you've been doing it wrong all along. Number 8. Ex-military riders. You won't hear them rev bombing in parking lots or bragging about lean angles at gas stops. They don't need to prove anything, because when they ride, they bring something most of us never learned on the street: discipline. Ex-military riders don't flinch. They don't second guess. Their lane positioning is surgical. Their throttle control is measured. They treat every corner like a mission briefing. You're playing checkers. They're running tactical ops at 80 miles an hour. Their reflexes are drilled in. Spatial awareness, next level. They can feel your presence before they see you. And if something goes wrong, they don't panic. They respond. Calm, precise, decisive. You're still processing the slide. They've already recovered and adjusted for wind drift. And don't expect them to be the fastest outright. That's not the point. What humbles you isn't raw speed. It's the total control. The way they stay locked into their lines. The way their gear is always squared away. The way they make group rides look like synchronized swimming. Even their risk assessment's different. No ego, just calculated decisions. They don't hope they'll make the turn. They know. And when you realize you've been relying on instinct and emotion while they're riding with strategy and purpose, that's when it hits you. You're not in their league. Not yet. Number 9. Track instructors. Here's how it usually goes. You roll into a track day feeling decent, maybe even fast. You've memorized the layout, got new tires, maybe dialed in your suspension. Then a track instructor passes you mid-corner, on the outside, on a slower bike, waving. And suddenly, you realize you know nothing. Track instructors don't ride with ego, they ride with mastery. They can see 10 seconds ahead, brake 2 seconds later, and still carry twice the corner speed. They're not flashy, they're efficient. They don't move unless it's with purpose. No wasted motion, no panic corrections. Just precision that makes you question whether you've been riding, just hanging on. Even their body position tells a story. You're hanging off your bike like you're falling out of a tree. They shift weight subtly and still outpace you. They know grip limits, the braking points, the exact moment to roll on, because they've done it thousands of times. Rain or shine, full tank or fumes. And the real kicker, they're watching you. Not just your line, but your timing, your habits, your mistakes. While you're chasing apexes, they're analyzing, teaching, and still smoking you in the process. You think you're fast? These guys are what fast looks like before it ever feels like it. Number 10. Road racers on slow bikes. There's nothing more humbling than getting absolutely obliterated by a guy on a 300cc bike while you're riding something with triple the horsepower. And no, it's not because his bike is secretly tuned or he's drafting trucks. It's because he's a road racer, and you're not. These guys don't just know speed, they understand it. They ride slow bikes fast because they've trained to extract everything from a machine, not just twist the throttle and pray. You'll be stuck bouncing off the rev limiter in third, wondering why he's disappearing through the next set of corners without breaking a sweat. They brake later, corner harder, and carry momentum like it owes them money. While you're backing off because you're spooked by a mid-corner bump, they're using it as an apex reference. You roll on the throttle when the road straightens. They never even slowed down. What's worse? They make it look boring. No drama, no corrections, no struggle, just clean surgical lines that mock your every move. They're dancing. You're stumbling through the steps. These racers don't need superbikes to be fast. They are fast. The bike just follows. Meanwhile, you're learning the hard way that speed isn't about power, it's about skill, and they've got it in spades. Number 11. Flat track kids. They're young, they're fearless, and they've probably been sliding motorcycles around since they were old enough to walk. You see a corner, they see a playground. And if you're anywhere near them on a twisty road or track, you're about to get schooled by someone who still has acne. Flat track riders grow up mastering one thing: traction at the limit. While most riders are terrified of losing grip, these kids live in the gray zone between control and chaos. They're constantly sliding, correcting, and pushing the edge. And they do it with a level of casualness that makes you question your entire riding existence. And don't let their bikes fool you. They might show up on a ratty dual sport with bald tires and duct tape levers. But once the road turns twisty, you won't see anything but their rear fender fading into the horizon. They brake with their rear, throttle with their soul, and corner with a level of fluidity you didn't know was possible. No drama, no hesitation, just fearless momentum and instinctual corrections. The scariest part, they're still getting better. While you're trying not to crash on that decreasing radius turn, they're already planning their entry line for the next one, and it's probably sideways. Number 12. Police motor officers. You think you're precise? Try following a cop through a tight cone course on a 900-pound Harley while he's wearing full gear, carrying a Glock, and sipping bad station coffee. These guys don't ride, they operate. Their whole job is to handle a motorcycle like it's an extension of their body, under pressure, in traffic, and often while multitasking. Police motor units train harder than most civilians can even imagine. Tight figure eights, full lock turns, controlled skids, threshold braking. Every day. They're not just proficient, they're surgical. And they're doing it all with crash bars, radios, sirens, and 40 pounds of duty gear strapped to them. Out on the street, they don't show off. They don't need to. You'll only realize how good they are when you try to match one through a tight U-turn or emergency stop and find yourself on the ground wondering how the guy with the mirrored sunglasses just pulled it off. They know how to balance at a crawl. They know how to stay calm when cars do stupid things. And they know how to make that massive bike do ballet in a parking lot. You ride for fun. They ride for a living. And it shows in every perfect, effortless move they make. Number 13. Adventure riders in the mud. On pavement, you might feel confident. In the twisties, maybe even fast. But the moment things get slick, sloshy, and steep, you realize there's a whole other universe of skill you don't have. Enter the adventure rider in the mud. These lunatics take 500 to 600 pound bikes, strap on 80 pounds of gear, and decide that vertical goat trails sound like a good time. They're not on light dirt bikes. They're piloting BMW GSs, Africa Twins, or Tenere 700s and doing it like they're playing in a sandbox. While you're second-guessing every rut and trying not to tip over, they're feathering the clutch, throttle steering, and climbing slopes like it's Tuesday. Standing on the pegs, body loose, tires caked in mud, they're still smiling. They fall better than you ride. And when it gets really gnarly, they don't panic, they improvise. They rock the bike loose. They walk it up with one foot down and throttle finesse you can't fake. You're still figuring out where to put your foot. They're halfway up the mountain. Nothing humbles a street rider faster than watching an adventure guy pull a mud-caked wheelie out of a ditch while you're busy Googling how to pick up a fallen bike. You're not in their league. Not even close. Here's the brutal truth. Fast is relative. You might be the quickest in your friend group, the hero of your local canyon, or the guy who blasts past traffic like it's standing still. But there's always someone out there who will make you feel like you're riding a tricycle. And the best part? They're usually the ones not talking about it. Real skill doesn't scream, it whispers. It shows up in clean lines, quiet confidence, and complete control. You won't see him posting wheelie clips on Instagram. You'll just notice him disappearing into the distance while looking completely relaxed. So yeah, go ahead. Feel fast. Enjoy the ride. But if you really want to improve, find these people. Ride with them. Get humbled. Because that's how you grow. Now I'm curious, who humbled you the most? Was it a track day veteran, an old dude on a gold wing, or some 17-year-old kid on a clapped-out 250? Drop your story in the comments. Let's trade lessons from the people who smoked us without even trying.